2. We're here. It must be Wednesday. This is ThinkTech Talks. We're talking about innovation starts at HTDC, the High Tech Development Corporation, a state agency attached to DBED, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. And we have here the CEO of HTDC, Robbie Melton. Hi, Robbie.
Hi, Jay. It's so great to be here.
It really is great to have you. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You're an important person. You're the state's leading, official to develop tech in the state of Hawaii. You're the one. Ooh. So why don't you tell us about, your situation at HTDC? Well, you came from, was it the state of Maryland?
Yes.
And you got here a couple of years ago?
A year ago.
Only a year ago. Gee whiz,
yeah,
okay.
It feels like 5.
So talk to us about your background.
So my background is I've had a really interesting background working in technology transfer and commercialization, starting here in Hawaii, at University of Hawaii.
I remember that.
At the Agro-Technology Transfer Project at the UH Topsoils Department. So that launched my career in doing R&D projects with federal government funding, and then I left because I couldn't afford to live here, like a lot of people.
Yeah, the old story, yeah.
I had my graduate student debt that I had to pay off, so I left thinking I would just be gone for 2 years, but ended up with a really interesting career, first working in a cancer research lab as their manager, then working at University of Maryland doing university industry partnerships, which was a grant program to companies. And then I was fortunate to work for the state of Maryland's venture capital fund as assistant director, and then...
That was state money.
That was state money, yeah. So we had an angel fund and we also had a venture capital fund, but we had a 3-to-1 match. Mm-hmm. So they had to go and get money from an accredited investor to do the match.
That really works, doesn't it? When
it
you
sure
do the
does.
match thing, you raise much more money than you actually put in, and everybody is a winner.
Well, true, and that's true of all venture capitalists. You syndicate.
Yeah.
You never go in it single-handedly.
Right. You get the lead,
So, yeah.
the lead investor, all that.
Yeah, somebody else becomes the lead investor, and you're sort of tagging along, so you know that what you're investing in is a good deal.
Okay, so you learned all about capital. This is very important.
Right, yeah. And then I actually founded an organization called Women in Bio, which is now a national, actually international, professional organization for women biotech entrepreneurs.
Women in Bio, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
And so it actually trains women how to grow successful biotech companies.
This is great.
Yep.
And it is on this background. What did I miss? Did I miss anything? In this background that you arrive on our shores only a year ago. Wow.
Yeah. And then the last thing I did before I came here, which is relevant to my job now, is I worked for the Maryland Technology Development Corporation.
How could I miss?
Yes, similar
So
name.
it's just like HTDC.
But we were a seed fund. So we actually got some funding from the state. We invested into very early. Mm-hmm. 2 guys in a garage, 2 women in a kitchen, that kind of
Always
thing.
the best entrepreneurs.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. But it was very well vetted, and it was a payback program. It was never a grant. People used to think it was a grant, but no, they actually eventually paid us back money. We invested in over 300, 400 companies. I was portfolio manager for 35 companies.
That means you helped them out and made sure everything was on track.
Yes, exactly.
So it worked. It worked
Yes.
in Maryland.
Yes.
And some of them were successful.
So the great metric we had was, even in the bad recession, 90% of our companies were still in business after 5 years, which is a record number, unbelievable success.
Yeah, that is. What was the magic sauce?
Mentoring and giving just the right amount of money. So if you give a small amount of money, not large amounts of money, to get them to the next growth level, then, and with the right mentoring, that gets them to other funding that they need.
And if you give them too much money?
Well,
It's never too much.
There's never too much, but it's the right money.
Yeah.
So you always want to give the right kind of money. So in our program, we had our seed fund, but then we had all these other smaller funds that you could access after you received one form of money or the other. but it's just a little bit of money, not large amounts of
Right,
money.
enough to encourage them.
Right.
It's
Right.
incentivization money is what it is.
Right, yeah, and that leads to either angel investment or helping them get SBIR funding or possibly VC funding.
SBIR, what does that stand for?
The Small Business Innovation Research
We're going to
Grant.
talk more about that
Yes.
today. We're going to talk
Yeah.
largely about money, I think.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so it was on that, background that you decided you'd return and try your hand as the CEO of the High Tech Development Corp. Wow, interesting career move.
Yeah, well, it was the right time for me because I'd been doing this for 25 years and I wanted to come back home. My family originated in Hilo. Although my immediate family doesn't live here, I have lots of cousins, like 1,000 cousins here. So I'm still trying to find all of them. But I wanted to come back because, as people are getting older, I wanted to reconnect with family. And so when I saw the opportunity, I jumped at it.
Yeah, good. And so that was what, a year ago?
Yes.
I don't know why it feels longer. Not much longer, a little longer. And how has it been since then in your life at HTDC?
It's been good. It's been really interesting. There's a lot of work that we want to do here. Earlier, HTDC was very focused on the 2 incubators we have, one in Manoa and the other in Maui. But we're a state agency, so we want to be bigger than just the 2 incubators. We want to be sure we're spread across the whole state and helping all the entrepreneurs on the state.
So what role does an incubator play? I mean, why is an incubator important to developing innovation in the state of Hawaii?
So an incubator has got a very key role. It's for early stage companies that need space because you can't always work out of your house, especially if you're developing products. You need a place with lab benches and so forth to grow on, but you also can't afford commercial space. So an incubator provides lower cost space than commercial, and it provides mentoring and educational programs to get you to the next level. We also introduce you to the right resources if it's something we don't have, so lawyers, possibly investors, accountants, things like that, but we're there to help shepherd you along the way so that you graduate. So in an incubator, you graduate and you move on. In Hawaii, we also have accelerators, which are new programs that you see all along, across the country and in the world, where people get a small infusion of money up front to help prove out your concept, and then you're to grow on. Well, once you get out of the accelerator, the incubator is the right place to go.
Oh, it goes from accelerator to incubator.
Incubator, right.
Okay, incubator is where you have the idea, it's perfected is probably the wrong word, but you have the idea worth incubating, and then you want to get out there and make pro formas, make working models, what do you call it?
Prototypes.
Prototype, thank you.
Yes, prototypes.
You want to actually use those benches and bring some people in who can perfect the product, perfect the implementation of your idea.
Right.
And
Yeah. We also have a program called Innovate Hawaii, and they specialize in manufacturing. So as companies are getting closer to the point where they need to manufacture, we can bring our guys in to actually work with the company to figure that out, how they're going to manufacture their product.
Wow, I have so many questions that flow
Okay.
out of this. Okay, so you come and you see this. Now, a state agency like yours is at the point, right at the cutting edge of developing tech for our state. And that's our middle name here at
Yes.
ThinkTech. And we care a lot about diversification, and you are the great hope for us. Being at the point, developing innovation, drawing kids, I like to use that term, into it and making them understand they can have a life in
Right.
tech and manufacturing and innovation in general. Thrilling moment. So what has happened over the past year to advance that?
So we have a vision. We launched our new vision this past fall, where we want to create an environment where the brightest minds choose to work. And we say that is because innovation is all about thinking new ways and thinking new processes, thinking new products, and you can actually be at any age to do that.
Yes.
And
In fact, it's more fun as you get older, actually.
Yes, even at a young age, it's a lot of fun to do. Any age, so we see that, and so we've set a goal for Hawaii to create 80,000 new tech and innovation jobs, earning $80,000 a year or more by 2030. And we believe that if we all work together, the private sector, the public sector, we can actually make that happen.
Okay, here's the book. Just want to show everybody the book. Okay, that is Innovation Starts Here, and the business card on the front is Robbie Melton's card. And if you open the book, it shows you about the 80/80 program mostly, and it shows you how we're going to get there. So this is an interesting book. If somebody wanted to get this book and get a handle on that $80,000 job, how would they get it?
So it's posted on our website, so they can download it in PDF format.
Which is htdc.org.
Yeah, simple.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, simple. Yeah, so we believe with the reason why we chose $80,000 as a salary level is if you look at the companies that are doing R&D now, there's the R&D tax credit, and a report came out last fall saying those companies that submitted for the tax credit, their employees that are doing R&D work, 75% of them are making $60,000 a year or more, and a third of those are making $100,000 a year or more. So if you focus on R&D and innovation,
that's just a logical connection rather than that's not because there's government money in there. It's just the R&D incentive just happens to generate jobs, which are better paying jobs.
Right.
This is better work because R&D is better work.
Right, and you're hiring people that are more educated, except for the coders. You don't have to have a high, college degree to be a coder.
You just have to be a coder person.
Yeah.
It's not a bad life, though, actually.
No,
Coding
exactly.
is very gratifying.
Right. But so if you're in innovation and R&D, you are going to achieve those higher salaries. That's why we feel that technology and innovation can play a major role in the Hawaii economy.
Okay, so 80,000 jobs times $80,000 by 2030.
Right.
In your own words, Robbie Melton, how do we get there?
So like I say, we have to work together.
Okay.
And it's not like, oh, next year we're going to create X amount of jobs and the year after we're going to create X amount of jobs. We have to create the right working environment to do that. So we have to build a state that has better business policies where people will want to start companies here. There are some...
Including people who come here from other places.
Right, but we're really targeting people who actually live here. So a lot of people think, oh, the 80,000 is really to bring everybody from the mainland, and that's not our goal. Our goal is to work with Department of Education, DOE, working with them to develop the right curriculum and getting the kids excited about the possibilities of staying here.
If I was a kid in high school, I'd be excited about $80,000.
Yeah, and we want the kids, granted they may go to college on the mainland, but we want them to know that the jobs are going to be here in Hawaii when they graduate, that they don't have to stay on the mainland.
That's a perfect pattern, really. I mean, you don't want to hold them back. And if they want to go to school on the mainland and learn stuff and become well-educated in science and technology especially, that's good. We want that. We want a workforce that has that level of sophistication. But then we want to come back. And this offers them that possibility because that's a comeback salary is what it is.
Exactly. So one of the things we're doing, we got funding from the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Authority, $3 million to build the Entrepreneur Sandbox in Kaka'ako.
Sandbox?
Yeah, we call it because it's play,
why not? It's for kids, right?
Right. So it's actually for adults, really. Okay. Adults and kids.
Adults who want to be kids.
Yeah, adults who never
grow up. That's me, I'll tell you right now.
Adults,
I'll be there at your sandbox.
You're adults that never grow up. I think that's the way it is. But really what we see it as the first ever innovation center for recreation. It's not a recreation, but a community center for innovation. We will have a digital media room where people can come in, learn how to do YouTubes, learn how to develop animation, develop gaming. We'll have a makery there, so people will be able to do 3D printing, develop...
A maker's room, yeah, a makery. I love it, makery.
A makery. We'll have a training room.
It's like a bakery, but you make instead of bake.
Well, actually, yeah, it's almost like baking. When you see some of the great you can develop tools, you can develop products, jewelry,
Yeah.
all kinds of things with 3D. And then we also want to have a training room, so doing workforce development type of activities. We have a group now in our incubator called Dev League, and they are training people to do coding.
Oh, yes, and the people they train are really happy about the training, too.
Yeah, and they've all gotten jobs as soon as they've
Yeah,
graduated.
they're good, they're excited, they're competent, and they can work anywhere, actually.
Yes, and that's what we want to continue to do.
Yeah, well, you make it a hub. I guess that word is a word of art, but I see it as a place where you can come and learn things that will take you into the job market, the entrepreneur market, the innovation market. It's not that hard to become relevant to that market.
Right, exactly.
So you're looking, what, for kids out of aside from the elder people like me, kids out of school, out of high school or college or any of that, all
it's
foregoing?
It's all of that. It's all of that. We see schools maybe coming to test out some of that, to do learning. We see it as young adults, mid-career people. Like I say, it's really going to be a community center.
Yeah,
So
let your imagination fly.
Yeah, so exactly.
I remember an article in the Times where these guys who work on Wall Street and live in Brooklyn, they chipped in to buy to rent some loft space in downtown Brooklyn, and they put scientific instruments in there. Why? They wanted to play with them. They wanted to see what they could do with them. And these are, non-science people working in Wall Street, and they had the dollars to chip in. Point is, though, that they wanted to do science, and they did science. What fun. What fun.
Exactly.
All your dreams come true.
Exactly.
And now we're going to have our break come true, too. We're going to have a short break. It's Robbie Melton, CEO of the High Tech Development Corp., which is really an important agency. You have to know about this agency, htdc.org. Here on ThinkTech Talks, we're talking about innovation and how it starts at HTDC.
Hi, aloha. My name is Chris Leatham, and I host a show called The Economy and You. The show plays every Wednesday at noon, and on my show, I bring on guests who are interested or working in the technology space. And so I'd like you to come and watch the show and learn with me about all the sort of exciting things that we're doing in Hawaii to build and grow our economy ecosystem. So I'd like to say aloha, and I look forward to seeing you on the show. Thank you.
Ted Ralston, folks, host of our show at ThinkTech Hawaii called Where the Road Leads, where we talk about technology influencing the future of Hawaii. Technology, of course, is the art of solving problems. We always bring in interesting and informed guests who can see from different perspectives and different points of view how that future might unfold and how technology can assist us in getting there. So once again, join us 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock on Fridays. Ted Ralston, your host. And please, if you have ideas that you'd like us to address on this show or folks who you think should be on it, let us know.
Okay, innovation starts here. Innovation starts here with Robbie Melton, CEO of HTDC, here on ThinkTech Talks. We're back for round 2. Okay, so we talked about the sandbox, talked about building innovation, exciting kids about that, kids of all ages. We talked about getting those brain cells going, make them think manufacturing, think design, think science and technology. There's no better way to diversify the economy, and we need that so badly. Okay, but the other thing is you're a government agency, and the government is part of this deal by definition. So every year, like it or not, the legislature takes up certain measures. So tell us, Robbie, what's going on in tech this year at the state legislature?
Oh, there are a number of initiatives floating around in the legislature. One of the things we're very excited about is a bill to expand our SBIR program. So the SBIR is the Small Business Innovation Research Grant, which is funded by the federal government. There are 17 agencies that give these awards out. The great thing is they've expanded the amount of money a company can get. So they can get up to $1 million in funding.
Well, that's new.
Yeah, so that's very good to help pay for developing your technology.
So interesting. In a time of austerity, the time of the cliff, the time of fighting in Washington about every penny, reducing the amount of money for research with the national institutes, here they're expanding the SBIRs. That's
Right.
great.
Because they realize that's the private sector that's going to take it to the market.
Yeah, sure.
So that's really important. So we currently have a program that allows us to provide a matching fund for companies that just get the first phase of funding from SBIR. So it's a smaller amount of money, but we want to expand it to companies that get phase 2, because phase 2 is where the companies go from prototype to beta testing and into the marketplace. So if we could help provide some funding to help them launch into the marketplace, the companies can get there faster. There are a lot of things that the SBIR grant does not allow companies to do, where our money can be utilized for that. So we're hoping that that will pass this year.
How does it look? It's still live, huh?
It's still, well, you know, you never know
Never
until
know,
May
never
1st.
know,
May
yeah.
1st is when you know how it is, you know. Like right now, it seems like everybody supports it because they realize it's a critical issue. And we do have, we've had over 28 companies get phase 2 awards over the last 10 years, totaling $78 million in funding. But we want to help them get to commercialization faster
Yeah.
by doing that. So that's one of the bills in there. There's also a bill to change the R&D tax credit. So we're grateful that the state has that already, but right now it only allows you to take the tax credit on incremental growth of R&D each year, where for startup companies, the incremental growth is small. And so there's no reason for them to apply for the tax credit by opening it up to all R&D expenses. That allows for small businesses to take advantage of that as well.
So how would it change? Not incremental, but what?
So it opened up, so instead of just, say I only did 10% growth from one year to the next, this would look at the 100% of my R&D expenses for that year.
All of it, okay.
All of it.
Well, that's good.
And so then that
And
would
it's
be
simpler,
good.
too. It
Yeah.
seems a more direct approach.
Yes, it's an easier
Yeah.
method to do that. There's also a bill that's really pertinent, because with our 80/80 initiative, in order for that to work, we have to have high-speed broadband for everybody that's affordable. So there's a bill, Senate Bill 892 on resilience and sustainability, that actually asks for funding to help build cable landing sites. We're not going to bring...
For new cables.
For new cables. So the state is not going to pay for a new cable to come in, because that's just cost prohibitive. But if we can show the private sector we're very supportive of bringing new cable into Hawaii, that they will help pay for the cable landing sites, which is just a small portion of that
The
funding.
state will pay a portion of the cost of landing the cable.
Right,
And that would be an incentive to any private company that wanted to land a cable.
right,
And I
right.
know Hawaiian Telcom wants to land a cable.
Yeah.
They sat in this chair, the very same chair, and said that, so
Well,
how does that work?
they are already planning to do that, but we need more cables. It's not enough just to have one cable, because the current cable we have is aging out. And the new cable they're bringing is one cable, but if a disaster happens, that cable gets cut. We are done for, because there will be no and broadband is not just about working on your computer. It's banking,
Everything.
it's telephone, it's everything.
Yeah, and if it gets cut, our society stops.
Retail would stop, everything would stop. So we need more cables to make sure that if a natural disaster happened or some other type of disaster happened, we have the capacity. And we need it on all the islands, not just, Oahu.
Really, really important. But it takes a consortium to build a cable. It takes millions, hundreds of millions to build a
Right.
cable, and you've got to build it from Asia to Hawaii and then to the mainland, whatever. And there are a couple of, as you say, aging ones right now. I have this whole theory about metrics for a state. Our state is the perfect place to look at metrics, because we're, identifiable and isolated. So I believe that clean energy, cheap energy, is a direct input on how well the economy does.
Oh,
You know?
yes.
And if we're sustainable and self-reliant, we'll do much better. Our economy will do simply by virtue of having the energy. And you can see that in states on the mainland too. Same thing with broadband. If we have cheap broadband, ubiquitous broadband for everybody, our economy will be better and more resilient. And we really have to do this. We have to do everything we can to build broadband.
Yes.
I know that HTDC has been trying to do this for several years, even under Abercrombie, which is what? Oh, gee whiz, it's 8 years ago, something like that. And it's an ongoing mission. It doesn't stop on any given day or achievement. You have to keep on working the issue.
Right, right. But we're hopeful that this year a bill will be passed to help allow us to really be serious about it this time, because time is running out. And if we're serious about the 80/80 and we don't get broadband, the tech companies are all going to leave because they're not going to be able to work here because we just won't have the capacity for people.
Which is a shame because we're in a great location to straddle, to be on the bridge between Asia and the U.S.
Right.
And we can have, facilities that are like, what do you call it? The one at the airport, Pihana, they used to call it.
I don't know what that is.
Anyway, they can be an international server farm for both continents at great distance, and we can occupy a special role. We can give them secure data, thousands of miles away. So whatever happens in their specific location, we protect the data here.
Right.
This is really important for us, and if we don't have the connection, we won't have that business at all.
Right.
The other thing is, is all these apps. In fact, all collaboration of all kinds. We interview the university, Robbie, every week, a couple of times, in one research area or not. And I always ask them, how are you collaborating? Who are you collaborating with? And they tell me they're collaborating all over the world. Everybody tells me that. Well, how do you think the collaboration works? It works on broadband. No broadband, no collaboration, and we lose our angle. We lose our advantage on doing research in general. It's very, very damaging to lose that. Yeah.
Especially now there's a lot of work going on the Big Island in terms of astronomy and getting, the kids are now doing this Moon Riders. They're doing a moon project that will be launched to the moon. And so we need the broadband for that. So, we're always talking about making sure our kids have a good education. Broadband definitely links into that as well.
So how much does the bill call for? Is it got a dollar amount on it?
No, there's no dollar amount associated with it right now. Right now, they're just doing the normal conceptual, and then they'll work it out at the end in terms of the dollar amount.
Yeah. Ooh,
in
I
conference.
want to be there watching.
Yes, exactly. We all will be there watching. But definitely we'll need support for people to send in, testimonies for that bill when it comes up to be heard.
It's really important.
Again,
it's important
yes.
to you. It's important to tech. And it's important to everyone here.
Right,
We're
exactly.
fighting isolation all the time. We're fighting being, a backwater. This is one of the ways we have to deal.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another bill now about covenants not to compete in the tech industry. You want to talk about that?
Oh, and the non-compete, yes, it's a hot topic. So, in California, there are no non-competes, and they have a thriving tech community.
They outlawed them.
Yes, they outlawed them, and, people are worried about their technology getting stolen, but there's the non-disclosure agreements that employees can sign, and those are legal. So if somebody breaks that non-disclosure, you can sue them. There's also the UTI, the Universal Trade something. I can't remember what the I stands for, but that also protects your intellectual property. People go, well, I spent all this money training you. Well, people leave jobs for a reason. And so they shouldn't be held hostage to your company because you have a non-compete. If they're free to go, why do I need, as an engineer, to go work at McDonald's because I had this 3-year non-compete against me? It's really not fair, and it actually stifles innovation. So, if we get rid of the non-competes or even putting a term limit on non-competes, I think that would be a workable solution to that. because we just need more, and even tech companies are for non-competes. So there are a few people that are no longer, and this bill is only for technology companies, not for anybody else. So, you know, we don't want to get people upset that, oh no, there's going to be no non-competes, but we believe this is a first step.
Yeah, well, you know, HTTA stands for Hawaii Technology Trade Association, which went upside down back in the middle 2000s. It was run by Tarek Haq. He was the president of it. You know, it's a nonprofit trade association for technology companies. And he advanced a bill like this way back in 2003 or 4. Didn't go anywhere. Because I think a lot of the businesses around, you know, didn't want to see, they wanted to lock their employees in. But the truth of the matter is the California rule is much better than locking employees in and threatening them and, you know, making them feel that you've got them and, you know, they can't leave, they can't go anywhere. The best kind of diversified industry, the best kind of industry is where you can quit in the morning and get another job in the afternoon and not worry about it.
Right. And besides, you know, I think it's so unfounded that people are going to say, oh, my employees are stealing my ideas. Most of them are not doing that. Most of them are working in tech jobs. They're not going out selling their secrets because they know they could be sued for one matter, but most of them are just out to do a job. So I think this whole paranoia about people stealing my technology is unfounded.
It is unfounded, and it tends to intimidate and lock people up and discourage them from going into the tech community, which is the bad thing.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. Thinking about that makes me want to take a break.
Okay.
Robbie Melton, CEO of the High Tech Development Corporation. We're talking about innovation starts at the High Tech Development Corporation here in Hawaii. This is ThinkTech Talks. We'll be right back in 1 minute or less.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevelin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show at KWAI AM 1080 that you can stream live. I also have my own website, pjsportsradio.com. We have live guests in studio, and we talk about discussions and topics that everyone wants to know locally here on the islands. We cover everything from surfing to basketball to whatever's going on locally, sports-wise. We try to do our best and cover the topics in depth as much as we can. Once again, thank you for joining PJ here on Hawaii Sports Update. Mahalo.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're at ThinkTech Talks. We're talking about innovation and how it starts at HTDC with Robbie Melton, who is the CEO of HTDC. Okay, moving on to the neighbor islands. You can't have a statewide tech industry without also including the neighbor islands. So what's going on with respect to the neighbor islands?
Oh, a number of things. We actually this spring are launching our Neighbor Island Innovation Initiative, and that is a bringing business mentors to work with the tech companies and entrepreneurs that are on the neighbor islands. So we'll be launching first in Maui, and then we'll be hoping to have 2 mentors on the Big Island, and they'll be driving around, so it's not like they come to us. We'll be actually coming to them.
Oh, cool.
So
Going to their place,
going to their place.
garage, what have you, whatever
Right,
it is.
because that's important, because they're so busy working, they're not going to take time out to go get mentoring, and we're really there to help them. It's modeled after a similar program that I ran in Maryland, where we worked in the most remote areas of Maryland. And who would know that the world-class optical lens maker was in Maryland for astronomy? Even the economic development people didn't even know that company existed. So that's our goal here, because
It's great that you brought it from Maryland. I really like that. It's kind of like intellectual arbitrage. You see it exists there, it doesn't exist there, so you bring it.
Well, it was important, and I see that as a really important role for HTDC to play here, because in last June, they did their first demo day in Hilo, and it was surprising the real hardcore technology companies that exist as startup companies in Hilo. And people think, well, you know, neighbor islands, it's all ag. And that's not true. There is, because now if you have a laptop, you can start a company anywhere.
Hoku started in Hilo. What was the other one? The solar company. Darren Kimura, his company started in Hilo. I think Hilo is something in the water.
Right.
In Hilo, it makes tech people there. I don't know what it is.
It must be that nice lifestyle that they have
And lay back.
in Hilo, yes.
Neil Adabara, who was a really important person in the science fair, got his start. He went to high school in Hilo and changed his life.
Wow.
So
Yeah. So it's great. Yeah. So we plan to do that and really try and work with those companies to get them to the next level. Because also when you're on an island, you don't have the access to the resources you do like here in Honolulu.
So what's a mentor? A mentor sounds to me like an uncle.
Kind of. It's kind of like that. You know, your uncle going around, but much more. So this person will be very business savvy, have industry experience, so that knows how to take a product from the beginning to the end. And so they will be able to see where the holes, the pukas might be in your business plan, where your marketing strategy might be missing the mark, or your sales strategy, anything to really get you to the next level.
So where do you get mentors? Are they made or born? Are they paid or volunteer?
They're paid. So we will be releasing our RFP with sometime in April.
You're soliciting for mentors.
So we are soliciting for mentors.
That's
so
great.
but we do want people with industry experience that want to work part-time, but really have the capability to analyze someone's business and to meet with them on their terms. So that's the other critical part.
Okay, so how about money for this fellow in Hilo in the garage that's building lenses for telescopes, what have you?
Yeah. So
What can you do for him?
So we don't actually have funding to help support the business. What we will look at is if there's an opportunity for them to apply for SBIR funding. So that would be one option. Or if we can help get them along the right path so that maybe an angel investor would be interested in funding them. That's kind of the track we would take with those companies.
So you put them in touch, or the mentor will, or both of you will.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first got involved in technology as a diversified sector, David Watermull said, never forget the power of money. And it's true. You know, you're trying to build a company fast. This isn't buggy whips. This is right now. You got to keep up. You got to compete. There's a world of people out there who are competing with you. If you don't have money to build it quickly, you won't be able to.
Exactly.
So tech needs money. And so, you know, it's very important that these kids who wouldn't otherwise understand much about money, they have channels. So, so before we leave the subject, let me ask you, if I want to be a mentor, if I think I have what it takes, and I want to get in on that RFP that you just mentioned, how do I do that?
So the RFP is posted on the state procurement site where they post all the RFPs. And again, it would probably be sometime in the later part of April.
Okay,
So
well, that's right around the corner.
Yeah, so just keep checking back on that. And then we will also post it on our website once we release the RFP.
Okay, if I'm the kid in the garage in Hilo with making the lenses or whatever, how do I get involved? How do I get a mentor?
So they would contact our office. Once we actually hire the mentors, then that will be posted on our website and they can contact the mentors directly to get assistance. But right now, even if we don't have mentors, we're definitely willing to help people on the other islands, and they can just contact our office and we can provide assistance.
So let me ask you a question that I've been thinking about since early this morning when I woke up. Do you remember a program for cell phones called Bump? Bump is when you would take your cell phone and bump it against my cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And then it would pass information.
Right.
I don't think that exists anymore.
I think my phone that I just gave up still
Really?
had that
Is it old?
It wasn't an old phone. It still has that capability where you can actually, but I just don't think people.
Here's my
Used it,
idea, and you guys,
okay.
if you want this idea, you can have this idea. It could be that it already exists in 27 iterations, I don't know. But my idea would be that you use the camera on the phone to look at the other guy's phone, and it would do recognition of the text on the other guy's phone. So if I show you Robbie Melton's contacts and my address list, then your phone will be able to put that in your contacts list simply by recognizing the text. Okay, let's assume I have my idea.
Okay.
I need to build an app. It's got to understand the camera. It's got to understand recognition. It's got to, it's got to be quick. It's got to be accurate. It needs some real fine programming there. And I start working on this in my home in my jammies. And I, have a beginning of it, and maybe, it doesn't work really well, but it works. And I'm on the way somewhere. And then I say, gee, I'd be better off if I talk to HTDC. If I call up Robbie or, look at the website and see what they would offer me. So tell me what happens then in my case study.
In your case study, well, first we would meet with you. We would learn more about your business. We would ask you questions like, have you talked to any customers? Do you have any customers that really want to use this? How do you know this is worthwhile? So you have to have some marketing done ahead of time to show that this is worthwhile. We would also ask you if you have a business model. So have you figured out how you're going to make money on this?
What is a business model? Oh, how you make money.
Yeah,
That's
how
a
do you make
business
model is, your business model, your pricing. If you don't, we might suggest you start with the SBD, Small Business Development Center, who's very good at helping write business plans.
Right here.
Right
In
here.
Hawaii, nay.
Yeah, so they're actually in our incubator.
Okay.
So you could actually be a virtual client, which allows you.
I don't have to rent space from
You don't have to rent space,
They'll
but
talk to me anyway.
Right.
I can stay at home in my skivvies.
yeah, you can stay at home in your skivvies, but then you get the privileges of being a tenant. So you could actually access our mentors. You could actually use some of our conference rooms and things like that as a virtual client. So we have quite a few virtual clients in our incubator. But then suppose your app takes off and you've now hired a coder, you've hired a marketing person, and you're on your way. So you can't stay in your skivvies, right? So
Gotta get out there.
Yeah, so you could rent a small office in HTDC at our incubator and then use that space so your employees have a place to come. We have a nice break room, a kitchen that everybody shares.
Yep.
And things like that. And so then, you make yourself, we have educational programs that are free for our tenants. And we do different events that our tenants get either free or discount. So there's a lot of programs that you can
It's all about
do.
collaboration.
Right.
Not because he's making the same program as I am, but he's having the same issues as I am. And therefore, I can schmooze with him, I can learn from him.
Right.
And you may not know it, even your mentor may not know it, but somebody down the hallway may be able to help me on some silly issue that I need help with.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's all about collaborating with each other. And that's what you see when you come to MIC. You see different companies coming together, working together to solve problems.
Okay, looks good.
Good.
Looks like we're gonna have a tech industry after all.
I'm all for that.
That's right. That's Robbie Melton, CEO of the High Tech Development Corporation here in the state of Hawaii. Here on ThinkTech Talks, we're talking about innovation starts at the High Tech Development Corporation. I think it's actually down the road already. We're going there. It's going to happen. And you can be part of it. Look at htdc.org. Thanks, Robbie.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jay, for having me.